Hello and welcome. My name is Kevin Buckley and I'm a veteran retoucher. And in this retouching tutorial series, how Photoshop jobs really work, we have world-renowned photographer Kuhl joining us. Now, there's been a few episodes in the series already, so if you're just joining us now, you can go back and check out why you would hire a professional retoucher. We go over how to answer that question. We did some image selection work, and we've already retouched a few of the images in this series. Now, in this particular episode, we're gonna be going over retouching a running profile shot. So some of the challenges that go along with this one would be the contrasting nature of the image and also the focus of the car, how it gets a little warped at the end of the frame. All right, if you can see how these are made, you can make them yourselves. Stick with us, let's go. All right, so we're moving along. We've done 2 of the blue images from the vineyard, and we're moving on to the next one. And the next one is a running shot, and it's a profile. So let's go ahead and open that one up and take a look. A little bit bigger. Okay. All right, so on this one, there were a couple different issues we talked about before in the last video. One of the issues was finding a car that was sharp and going through the images. Another reason to give your retoucher basically, your hard drive a file so he can go ahead and take a look through, or she can go ahead and take a look through and make sure we can get sharp pieces from different angles if we need them, or at least pick sharp ones. And this is a good thing to do actually before you make JPEGs, for an art director or something like that, because you don't want them to fall in love with an image that's blurry, once you get it high res. So here's where we're at. I did pick a different one. If you were watching the previous video, I did pick a different one to start with, and because it was sharp. So the background composition is pretty similar, but the car itself is different and sharp. And it's nice because it's kind of a complete profile, which is really nice. Okay, so that is the final. And let's go ahead and strip off these layers and get back to where we started. Okay, so this is originally how it came in. And one of the things I mentioned right off the bat is we're gonna really need to bring up those shadows, and we're gonna need to darken the road. And that's gonna help a lot with the color. And so some of this I did in Capture One, so that was in Capture One. And we have another one from Capture One. And then I started going into Photoshop and kind of removing things that are distracting. There's a little line there. I think there was a tire on the ground right there. So I took the tire out. And then I used a different option for the trees at the top. So I felt like these trees kind of show more motion. They show more light coming through. I think they defined better. This is kind of mushy and all together. And so I kind of wanted to break it up a little bit. So we have those. The next thing is to take a look at the car. And let me zoom in so you can take another look at that. Because you're going to be like, well, wait a minute. The shape of the car changed. Oh, yes, it did. Okay, so this car was getting a little stretched by the lens. And it's really obvious when you have a profile one because the tire becomes oblong. It's not oval anymore. So you can see how this one's round and this one's getting stretched. So I did stretch it back. Now, I didn't stretch it back all the way to here, partly because I want it to be kind of a realistic shot, and there's a lot of motion and kind of things happening and things stretching as you're going. So I didn't want it to go all the way back, but I did stretch it to the point where I don't think it's noticeable or it's not distracting at least. You don't want to, look at a shot and be like, that car's stretched, and that's not going to help. So I moved it back. Let's take these off a little bit. And so here's the adjustment of the light. So for this car, there was a couple things going on. The hood was a little blown out. I felt that was getting hit by too much sunlight in the front. And also the roof was falling into the background. You can see it gets pretty dark. It's the same color as the background, as well as the rear's in shade, so it's going to be darker, but it's kind of getting mushy back there and falling away. So all those things I kind of want to fix as I'm going through. And so I, added some darkness over here to bring out some more shape in the hood. I grabbed a shark fin from another shot, so I could have a shark fin up there. And then I just added a little more light back here, a little more dappled light. I kind of kept this dark in the middle because you don't want to go completely light overall because it is in the shade. And then I think I added a little more light down here because that increases the glossy look as it's reflecting off the ground. Okay. So there's a big move. So that car I felt like was still kind of falling into the background a little bit. So what I did is I darkened behind the car and then lightened the car to kind of punch it out a little bit. And I did mention in the video too that we were going to put in a little bit of a flare, very subtle, something to show that this light's streaming down in between the trees here. And so we do have a little bit of that there. And then becomes the color move. So this is a fine shot right here, but as you can see, it's not going to fit in with our other shots. So if you've decided you're going to go blue for the morning, you can't go from this shot, to this shot. It just doesn't make any sense. It's not going to look good together. So I did add quite a bit of blue. And if this shot was just alone, they'd probably be like, why is it so blue? What are you doing? But when you put them together with the other shots on the same palette, if they're going to be shown, at the same time, then they really do need to match up. And so that's why it went so blue. Did you have any questions on that one?
I don't think so, man. I think it looks great. I'm really kind of impressed with, how far you took that one, honestly. It just looks really good, so.
Thank you. Yeah, I remember. I think you were a little worried about that one.
I was a little worried about it because it was a little too contrasty. I was like, I don't even know if I want to make it a selection, but I'm really impressed with what you did with it. I'm glad we have it as a part of the series.
Okay, if you enjoyed the video thus far, you think you're learning some things, please hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell. That way you'll be aware when the next video comes out. Now in this particular episode, we went over some of the challenges of a really contrasty shot, especially for automotive photography, focus, warping, all that good stuff. Now in the next episode, we actually have the final image in the series. So we're gonna be doing exactly what we did right now. We're gonna be taking all the layers off and going through step by step so you can see the retouching and the art direction. And again, if you can see how it's done, you can do it yourself. Thank you for joining me. Again, my name is Kevin. Keep making images.